Natalia Bonner. Happy Monday. Welcome back. I'm excited that you're all here stitching along with me. So today I'm going to be sharing a really fun scallop border design. This design is pretty much just based on my quilt block. So a fun design, it's fun to stitch out. Now the ruler that I am going to be using here today, you'll see a lot of, this is a ruler by the Quilted Pineapple. The quiltedpineapple.com is their website and you can pick that ruler up over there. But while I'm stitching out this fun scallop border design today, I know that there's going to be some questions. So let's hurry and answer those. All right, scallop borders, do you love them? I do. I actually have an online class called Let's Stitch Scallop Borders, where I teach you step by step how to machine quilt a whole bunch of really cool scallop border designs. I teach you how to figure out the math, easily of course, do the markings, and then stitch out the designs. So if you would like to learn more scallop border designs, do check out that online class, Let's Stitch Scallop Borders, over on my website, peaceandquilt.com. But before we actually get stitching here, I do want to let you know, because you're going to wonder, what am I stitching on? I'm stitching on a brand new panel for an upcoming stitch along called Let's Stitch a Year of Stars, starting January 1st, 2021, for a whole entire year. And a whole entire year, I mean the first of every month, for a total of 12 months, 12 quilt blocks, 12 star quilt blocks. I'm going to be teaching you step by step how to quilt a star quilt block each month. Now we also have some really fun companion tools to go along with this stitch along, including a cool calendar and some other workbooks. You might want to use my machine quilting rulers and lots of other fun things. But do check out all the details. We've got them listed below on our website, also peaceandquilt.com. So in the meantime though, let's get stitching. This fun scallop border design is going to be based completely off of the blocks. Now, I do take you more in depth into machine quilting scallop borders in my online class, Let's Stitch Scallop Borders. But I think you'll be able to find a little bit of inspiration from today's video, and we'd love to have you join that class if you are interested. I'm going to be using the number 30 curved ruler by the Quilted Pineapple. Now, I do not have grip material on my ruler here, but if you feel like you're struggling at all keeping that ruler in place, grip is very, very helpful. You'll see here that I actually use my whole entire arm to kind of hold the ruler in place as I'm stitching out this long curved line. So I went through and I did do a little bit of marking just in the center point of my sashing. So this is a simple design that's based off the blocks and halfway through the sashing. I'm going to be stitching point to point. Now, why did I choose to use this ruler? Well, if you are getting into quilting a lot of scallops and want to get really creative, I do recommend this whole set. It is available from the quiltedpineapple.com. I recommend the whole set because I like to actually audition rulers when I'm quilting a design like this. I'll lay them on there and see what works best. In my online class, I do, however, teach you how to use just my machine quilting rulers to stitch out a lot of scallop border designs. So working my way across the quilt, starting on the left side, all the way across the top, down to the right side, as far as my throat space will allow me, which here is 1 scallop. So if my throat space will allow about a half a scallop, I actually will only stitch 1 scallop. After I've stitched that first one all the way across, now I'm going to come back over to the left side of the quilt where I began stitching. So I am working here on a long arm machine. If you're working on a sit down or a domestic machine, you could work all the way around and then start to add your echo like I am here. Sometimes there's advantages of working on different machines. So I'm now going to add an echo that's 1/4 inch on the outside of my first stitch line. So I'm going to line my machine quilting ruler up so the outside of the ruler is right on top of my previous stitch line. Then hold that and stitch point to point. I'll stop stitching once my foot, the side of my foot, hits my previous stitch line. Then I'll stop with my needle in the down position, adjust my ruler, and then stitch the next scallop. And I'll continue on stitching one more scallop. Notice when I get to the corners, how do you work around the corners? I'll stop as if I'm at a 45-degree angle right out from that corner. At that point, I'll adjust my ruler, leaving my needle in the down position as I adjust. I'll stop and then continue on once I've readjusted. So once I've stitched that echo all the way over to the right side, I will stop, cut my threads, and now I'm going to go back over to the left side of the quilt. I'm most comfortable working left to right, so that's the way you're going to most often see me quilt. Now I'm going to switch and use my inside out machine quilting ruler. You can see I use the notches on that ruler to help me stitch right in the ditch. I'll stitch right to the center point on that scallop. In that center point, I'll stitch one single feather. Then from there, I'll work my way out, adding those bump back feathers to the outside of my block design, but then the inside of that scallop. I'll work all the way down, getting smaller as I go to the outside. Then from there, I'll travel back up the ditch. Now I am using so fine thread here, so it is a really fine thread. When I do have to double stitch or stitch over my lines again, like I did there, you can see that it's not a lot of buildup. From there, I will continue on and stitch now over to the top center point, and I'll repeat that process one more time. Now you're probably wondering, why didn't you complete the stitch in the ditch on the side of that block as you were going? Well, it didn't seem like the most accurate or the best time to stitch it. I feel like I would have had to go back over my stitch line a couple of times. So I've decided, you know what, I'll come back, and when I'm ready to work on that block, then I'll complete my stitch in the ditch work at that time. So working on this next scallop, I'll start out again by stitching the center scallop. Then I'll work adding those feathers to one side and then adding the feathers to the opposite side. Now you can see it doesn't matter. Sometimes I start and stitch them on one side, and sometimes I stitch them on the opposite side. It really just doesn't matter, whichever you're most comfortable with. From there, I'll continue stitching, repeating this process in each of those scallops. And there you have it, a really adorable scallop border design. I hope you all found just a little bit of inspiration from today's machine quilting video. Now remember, we would love to have you join along and stitch a year of stars, but if you do want more scallop border goodness, then make sure you check out our website, peaceandquilt.com. Have a great day, everybody.